Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I am Jason Whitlock, your host. Thank you so much for joining me today. We have a fantastic conversation to share with you today. I think it's an important conversation. It's with a guest who was, in my opinion, the first athlete to get canceled. It happened 25 years ago in 1999. John Rocker was at the top of Major League Baseball world. He was a closer for the Atlanta Braves. They were competing for World Series titles against the New York Yankees and in the NL against the New York Mets. And he was involved in a controversial interview and story published in Sports Illustrated in 1999. And it basically led to, I don't know if demise is the right word, but he's at the peak of his career, at the peak of the zeitgeist and conversation. And the next thing you know, he's quoted in Sports Illustrated saying things that when we look back with these 2024 eyes, we go, well, isn't that what Donald Trump says? But in 1999, we looked at it and thought, oh my God, the world has come to an end. John Rocker has just said the most inappropriate things in the history of the planet. He must be removed from polite society. And he was. John Rocker, thank you so much for coming here to Nashville and having this conversation with me. And so we'll just start here, throw a little softball there. What the last 25 years since that article, what's life been like for John Rocker?
Let's see, after the drinking problem, there was the drug problem, and then it was the slow bastard kids, and no, I just made all that up. Well, you say it wasn't the demise of my career, first of all. I went on and played another 4 years. The following year, I was about this close from making the All-Star team. Was 28 of 30 saves, still through, I think, 5 or 6 innings of scoreless baseball in the playoffs. I still had a good year. The following year, I was traded to Cleveland, pitched fairly well with Cleveland, and then I can remove my shirt right now and show you the slew of scars that exist on the shoulder. That was the demise of the career. I think we're all sports fans. We remember when Peyton Manning had the pinched nerve in his neck, and he shut himself down for a whole year. I had the same exact thing. It's a pinched C5 nerve in my spine right there. That affects your rotator cuff. The rotator cuff muscles will not fire as long as that nerve is pinched. Well, I played back in the let's just shoot me up days, and I took 1 month off, came back, feel pretty good, shoot me up, let's get going. And 2024 eyes, that was a bad decision. I should have done that. So I should have shut myself down for a much lengthier period of time. And when I finally had surgery, the great Jim Andrews did my surgery like he got so many of us. And he opened me up and he's like, John, let me liken how your shoulder looked by describing if you blew your car tire out running 80 miles an hour down the interstate and you kept driving on it for the next 5 miles, that's how your shoulder looked. It was like, it was hamburger meat. And we have 5 rotator cuff muscles. 3 of mine were 85% torn. My labrum was torn off the bone. So it wasn't the article and all that. A lot of that stuff, it does get tiring and old and turn back in page, man. Day in and day out, when you're playing in Cincinnati, you're playing in Arizona, you're playing in San Diego, and you still have to hear the, hey, John, that was a 7 train. Real original, clown. That's the 18 times today I've heard that. I think it's redundant. You just want to start slapping folks. But the grief in New York, which is the city I picked the fight with, could not have loved it anymore. Like, yeah, that's exactly what I want. It was kind of my goal. I wanted to see how mad I can get these people. Now that went a little off the rails. That was sort of a bizarre segue. But we'll get into more how that article happened here in a minute. But all that article did was just make my career personally less enjoyable as far as my actual play and et cetera, et cetera. You didn't see much of a drop off in performance until this thing decides to go haywire, and I was into that. So you said something interesting there. You picked a fight with New York. Yeah.
Do you regret that?
Not at all. Somebody had to.
What it became a distraction. It became something
And it did.
overshadowed everything else about John Ross.
Yeah, it did. And I wrote a book that came out, about 10, 12 years ago. And one thing that was so frustrating, and it depends on where you play. I mean, you play in Houston, you play in Texas, you play in Kansas City, you do not hear the kind of things you hear playing specifically Yankee and Mets stadiums. Boston, yes, some as well. Philly, yes, some as well. But those two stadiums, bar none, are the worst. You will hear the most vile, foul, just degrading, dehumanizing comments that you've heard from your fellow American citizens. And the media treats it like it's just like a rite of passage kind of thing. Like it's almost like, Philadelphia Philly and cheesesteaks and Buffalo and wings and it's just that's just what we do in New York. We dog cuss you and tell you what a whore your mother is. I just blankety blanked your sister last night. I'm out here trying to shack fly balls. I'm out here trying to get loose to go in the bullpen and perform my job. And I've got you right behind me, spitting at me, throwing stuff at me. We're in Yankee Stadium one time. I'm pitching. I go to check the runner on second. I see my center fielder, Andrew Jones, running in from center field. I'm like, hell, step off, umpire, timeout. He's all off the field. The bleacher creatures in center field in Yankee Stadium were throwing board darts at Andrew Jones. Darts you play darts with? They're lobbing those things at him from 150, 120 feet away during the game. Darts. That's playing. You don't have people throwing darts at you in Cincinnati, in St. Louis. Doesn't happen.
It's an interesting point you raised.
I put it upon myself, being the sort of vigilante mentality that I have. Somebody needs to know what dirtbags these people are. And you know what? I'm going to tell them.
That's fascinating, and it's because I'm someone that grew up a hardcore Indiana Pacer fan, a hardcore sports fan, and I was a college football player and all that, but probably my primary identity.
Where'd you play college football at?
Ball State University.
Oh, yeah, I'm familiar.
Yeah.
The fighting Roethlisbergers. No, he went to Miami, Ohio. That's right. I got that mixed up.
Home of the fighting Dave Letterman. David Letterman went to Ball State.
He went to Ball State, okay.
Yeah. But we had a running back that played for 10 years.
Nice, yeah, that's a legit program.
Anyway,
nice.
Yeah. Anyway, but more of my identity, if I really think about like my life, is as a fan. And I was someone, and even I'm 57 now, I'm like, hey man, that passion from fans that's over the top is why there's so much money in sports. There's why the athletes get paid so well, is because, fan is a derivative of fanatical. They're fanatics. And so there's part of me that's like, hey man, as an athlete, it's kind of your job to put up with the fanatics. Obviously, you disagree with that, and again, I played college football at Ball State. I played high school football for a nationally ranked program, but I never had to deal with the level of fanaticism that's in professional sports and in major college sports. So maybe my perspective is a bit naive that, no, okay, yeah, New York fans are crazy.
You stink, we're going to kick your ass tonight, yeah, all right. But some of the stuff you hear, I mean, you would bleep it out of an X-rated movie. I mean, some of the stuff you hear on the field, I'm just here working, man. I'm just here working. And the funny thing, too, in so many instances, the fans are cheering for clothes. Sorry, they're cheering for clothes. I play for the Cleveland Indians. Every time, I don't use absolutes very much, but every time I came into a game for Cleveland for almost a whole year, standing ovation. I got traded in the offseason to Texas. I came back to Cleveland wearing a Texas uniform in April, roundly booed 3 straight nights in Cleveland. Like, you gave me 6 months ago, standing ovation 6 months ago. I changed clothes and now you're booing me. Yeah, just.
And doesn't that kind of speak to like
stupidity?
That's why you ignore it, because
so stupid.
It's just mindless babble.
Yeah, you ignore it, but you're also like, you blankety blank idiots. You're dumb and you don't even know it. And Yeah, you're just an idiot.
Well, let me provide
You like
some of
me,
the,
you like the clothes I'm wearing.
let me provide the audience, the younger audience in particular, and some of the older people that don't remember exactly what happened. But you guys in the NLCS, I believe, play the New York Mets, and that's a pretty spicy series. The Atlanta Braves, the New York
That was a
Mets.
hell of a series, too.
Yeah, and at some point you face the Yankees in the World Series, and so Rocker had this thing going on with New York fans, and so Jeff Pearlman, a writer for Sports Illustrated,
He was the lead baseball writer then.
he comes to visit you and spend some time with you, I assume, in Atlanta, and the gist of the story seems to be John Rocker at war with New York. And let's go find out about this polarizing baseball player who's this amazing closer. That's the key to one of the keys to the Atlanta Braves' success. And John is quoted as saying some really
And we'll go into that here in a minute. We're gonna
really
elaborate on that.
spicy things about New York. Let me share a couple of these quotes, and it's on ever playing for a New York team. I would retire first. It's the most hectic, nerve-wracking city. Imagine having to take the number 7 train to the ballpark, looking like you're riding through Beirut next to some kid with purple hair, next to some queer with AIDS, right next to some dude who just got out of jail for the 4th time, right next to some 20-year-old mom with 4 kids. It's depressing. Then on New York itself, John Rocker says, or is quoted as saying, the biggest thing I don't like about New York are the foreigners. I'm not a very big fan of foreigners. You can walk an entire block in Times Square and not hear anybody speaking English. Asians and Koreans and Vietnamese and Indians and Russians and Spanish people and everything up there. How the hell did they get in this country? That's John Rocker on the, you regret that? Are those quotes accurate?
If the entire conversation had been published, then no. And first of all, let's get one thing straight, because we broke up about 2 years ago. My ex-girlfriend of 3.5 years is Korean, and her parents are off the boat Korean. Mother still can't speak English. So, but yeah, saying Asians and Koreans, they're all Asians. Yep. Idiot. Yeah, so we kind of messed that one up, but low the sense of a 25-year-old brain. It was the full conversation was about assimilation, and don't mind foreigners at all. I would say sitting here, I don't know your background. I know my background. I've lived in Venezuela playing winter ball for about 5 months. I've lived in Puerto Rico 4 different times over the years playing winter ball. Live in Dominican. Again, don't use absolutes very much, and I don't know your background, but I would guarantee you I've got a lot more foreign friends than you do. People from Australia, Europe, certainly Latin friends. I mean, you can pick my phone up right there, and there's probably no less than about 15, 18 people that I have their numbers in my phone who are Latin guys. First language is Spanish. But those guys are my dear friends because they've assimilated. Most of them, after a playing career, whether they got married here or however it is, they live here now, they're citizens, they work, have a family, but they assimilate themselves to our culture. They got done playing. They didn't want to go back to Dominican. They didn't want to go back to Mexico or Venezuela. They wanted to stay here. They have built a life here under American lifestyle principles, under American values. They've, of course, learned the language, the customs, and they raise their kids to be Americans. What I'm speaking about with can't speak English, it's not you can't, you won't. Or you literally can't because you don't have enough respect for America's culture to learn the language, when you know good and well, I'm never going back to where I came from. I'm never going back to China. I'm never going back to Laos, Vietnam. I never am. But I'm going to move here. I'm going to segregate myself from American culture. I'm going to recreate my little Vietnamese community here in New York. I'm only going to be around Vietnamese people, only consume Vietnamese cuisine. I'm not going to celebrate Veterans Day, Memorial Day, Thanksgiving. I'm going to just a big to American culture. And those kind of folks, I got a problem with it. When I lived in Puerto Rico 4 different times, I went to, and it was usually over the holidays, as obviously winter ball, the 3 Kings Day parade, which is like their big Christmas celebration down there. I went every year. And I went with my Latin teammates and their families. My Spanish is not very good anymore, but it was pretty good back then. When I was down there, I probably spoke Spanish. When I'm in restaurants, I'm in their Latin culture, I'm speaking Spanish as much as I could. I would say 70% of the time, ordering food, asking directions, just in general conversation with someone that's your native language. I'm in your house. I'm going to ask you to change for me while being in your house. And and I think that's where the woke culture is getting turned on its head, is you're having, and sometimes grossly underrepresented minorities asking everyone to change for them. If you vote with your feet to come here, and when I get on this plane, I ain't going back. I'm going to raise my family here. I'm going to take advantage of everything America has to offer. It is disrespectful, it is rude to not assimilate yourself, and if you want to truly achieve the American dream and receive everything America has to offer, assimilation is the only way. I mean, if you come here and I'm never going to learn the English language, never am. I hope you're good at manual labor, because you're going to have a hard time doing much else.
Let's be honest. The insurance model is broken. CrowdHealth puts your health care back in your hands. Use the promo code FEARLESS at joincrowdhealth.com. That's joincrowdhealth.com, promo code FEARLESS. So that was the broader conversation?
Yes. And that's Sports Illustrated, you're like, I kind of get it. But as so many liberals do, they like to, and Jeff Pearlman, let's retain facts here, a bleeding heart, just cancel culture liberal. I mean, he was
He was ahead of his time.
Oh yeah, back in the day for sure. And I've learned this. I've done, Jason, I have done probably approaching 1,000+ interviews just like this, radio, TV, in my life. I've done so many, and I swore off print probably 10 years ago because I learned probably 10 years ago that when you sit down with a journalist, they already know the story they want to write. They already know the angle they want to take. They know how they want to make you look. They know exactly what they want to do. All they need from you is a couple of quotes to plug in there to make their story look legit. And no matter what you say, they can, a 20-word quote, they can cut out 10 of those words, spin it around their own framing, and make you look exactly how they want you to look. And so I quit doing print years ago for that fact. Well, is that what Pearl wanted to do? I started researching, and my agent should have done this preemptively to this interview, but prior to even my interview, I mean, everything he had done was a hatchet job. He wrote a book about the amazing Mets called The Bad Guys Won. And instead of championing the 1986 Mets, one of the best stories in baseball history, he went through the litany of their adulteries and their drug issues and just everything bad about them. From Mookie Wilson, all those guys, all their off-field problems and transgressions and all that, didn't focus anything on what an amazing team they were and what they did. The Bad Guys Won. It was a book trashing the '86 Mets. He wrote a book about Walter Payton after Walter had died called Sweetness, trashing Walter Payton. I was at a bar in Atlanta, Chop Cigar Bar, and a guy came up to me that went to the University of Delaware, which is where Pearlman went. Pearlman was obviously on the school newspaper, whatever. And this guy, he saw me in there. He's like, Mr. Rock, I just want to have a conversation with you. And he said Jeff Pearlman got banned from all the sports locker rooms by the athletic director because all this guy would do was interview the players and then trash them in the school newspaper. About 2 or 3 years after Pearlman being a member of the University of Delaware school newspaper, they banned him from all the athletic facilities for trashing all the players. Just what this clown does. So him interviewing me, and I had met him a number of times in clubhouses in Yankee and Shea and maybe even Boss as well. Because like I said, he was the head sports writer for Sports Illustrated. I met him a number of times. We're virtually the same age. I'm 24. He's like 26. And we'd had conversations, outside of sports. Man, he's kind of a cool guy, whatever. And I thought this guy's kind of a buddy of mine. We're going to do an interview, and bleeding heart liberal, and had the mindset, just what I've told you, that was preemptively to my article. He just had the mindset, I'm going to trash this son of a bitch. and here's how I'm going to do it. He already had the story written in his mind before he ever came and talked to me.
So, but you were familiar with him a little bit, and so you had some trust.
Yeah.
And listen, you're 24, 25 at the time.
Quite naive.
Yeah. I've made the mistake because there's been plenty written about me. And I was in my 30s and 40s, people writing about me where, again, they sandbag me. They exact same thing you're talking about. And so just for transparency on this show and with the audience is I can't stand Jeff Pearlman. I know him as a sports writer. He has written several things trying to trash me and tear me down.
But you're a black man. That makes him a racist. Automatic racist.
I'm a Christian black man, so all the blackness gets erased. I'm an evangelical. I have a biblical worldview, so he gets to hate me. It's when you have my values in my world, he gets to hate me without being called racist. But yeah, just for transparency's sake, I can't stand Jeff Pearlman, and so I just want to be fair to the audience. Perhaps my comments will be slightly biased because I can't stand the guy.
Nobody can.
Having
you're the majority, Jason. Trust me.
Having said that, I get why at 24, 20, hey, they're going to do a piece on me in Sports Illustrated. I'm kind of familiar with this writer. Yeah, I will open myself up. But what your argument is that, hey, man, we had an hour long or 30 minutes.
It was all day. I picked him up at Phipps Plaza at like 10 o'clock in the morning. From off Phipps Plaza like 7 o'clock that night. It was all day. All day. And that's what you came up to write about. And again, I love talking politics. I probably like talking politics more than I like talking sports.
Even back then?
Oh, yeah.
How come?
I don't know. Just got a thing. I just like discussing political issues, social issues.
When he left, was there any thought in your mind like, oh, man, I said a lot of provocative things?
And again, back there at 24, 25, I grew up in Central Georgia, was never around a lot of liberals. I mean, everybody I was around was Southern Baptist and pretty much all red, and just didn't know the venom that so many liberals have. I mean, when we think cancel culture, do we ever think conservatives trying to cancel liberals? It never goes that way. It's always liberals trying to cancel conservatives every single time. And it was really was totally uneducated, completely naive to there are liberals out there and they are looking to bust your ass. They are. Because I see liberalism as it's a religion for them. And not only is it a religion and a way of life, it's just, in my opinion, it is a inborn, inbred, not inbred like that, just inbred like part of the fabric of your being ideology. I believe a gay man is born gay. I believe there's something about your DNA makeup that makes you a gay man. That's why I can't hate you. That's how God made you. Yeah. I think the same thing about liberals. I think that there are some indoctrinated liberals that, as Limbaugh used to say, young minds of mush that go off to college, don't ever ask them a hole in the ground, and they have some professor who they respect that tweaks and warps their thinking and warps their brain, and they come out liberals. I think a lot of other ones, probably 80% of them, they're just born like that. They're born empathetic. The foundation of liberalism is sympathy and pity. They feel sorry for everybody. They feel grief for everybody. It's never so-and-so's fault. It's just some over here, some other catalyst that makes this person's life the way it is. No accountability whatsoever. I think liberals are born that way. Their model of the world is made in the womb. It's not made by observing society, taking information in, and forming an opinion and forming a lifestyle and a belief system based on that. I think they're born that way.
I completely disagree with you.
Really?
Probably on both levels in terms of particularly as it relates to liberals. It's a learned mindset and behavior. It's a learned worldview. It's not, there's this whole empathy and sympathy and everybody's a victim. That's a learned mindset. They weren't knitted that way in the womb.
Look at Hollywood actors. They are definitely right-brained people.
They're bought and paid for, though.
but they all believe the same thing, and they're all right brain. They're all the artistic types. They're all the sensitive types. They're all the. I mean,
that may mean they're more prone to be indoctrinated or manipulated or convinced or brainwashed, but born that way. Because
wouldn't you say there's a lot more liberals that are more effeminate than masculine? You don't see a lot of Navy SEALs being liberals. You see a lot of effeminate, kind of flinty, kind of small bone, sort of. You might have some tendencies, man, as being liberal. I mean, the liberal person almost has a look about them.
Here's what that is, though. It's okay. Let's say you're a man and you are a bit more effeminate, and the way you grow up as a kid, perhaps you're more picked on, and so that would give you a victim's mentality, a victim's worldview. Hey, I've been picked on. I wasn't one of the cool kids.
I was a bullied guy.
You were bullied.
When I was growing up.
John, you're 6'4".
I told you, but when I was young, I was 6'4", but skinny as heck. And I was kind of awkward. I was the only child. My social skills weren't that good. And I had some really good friends in 6th, 7th grade. And by the 8th grade, they all turned on me. And then it was not cool to be John Rocker's friend pretty much the rest of my high school life.
Because of what?
I don't know.
What do you?
I don't know.
Come on.
No, I'm dead serious. Dead serious.
You don't?
Like to a point of like, well, I do, but I'm not telling you because it's a little personal. Almost to the point of like, it's time to change schools. And but I didn't ever get that because I'm like, don't want to tell my parents about this stuff. So I just took it.
Well, hold on, John. You can't keep a secret here on this.
No, but I'm going to. That's the thing is, I can. I can do it for sure.
Can you give us a hypothetical and what? I mean, I got to try to understand this a little bit.
No, I was an underdeveloped kid. I mean, even I told when I graduated from high school, I'm 6'5" and a hook right now, 250. I graduated from high school at 6'4" and a half, $187.
Got you, but
so I put on damn near 70 pounds since.
A letterman in baseball,
well,
a letterman in football,
back
a letterman
then,
in basketball.
Just being an athlete didn't make you automatically cool. I was sort of socially awkward, I was. And the herd mentality of a 14-year-old, as soon as like the coolest guy in the little herd decides it's cool to not like somebody or to do this, the herd follows. And when one person decided it was cool to not like me, the rest of them followed, and oh well. But anyway, they all want to be my buddy now and have for years and years after I got famous and stuff. But we still tell them to pound sand. And here's where I disagree. I dated someone for about 4 years. She was from Birmingham, Alabama. 2 twin sisters, father preacher, mother, I think worked in the church, something like that. Republican as they could be. Sisters Republican. And she went to private school. I mean, everything about her was Republican. Everything about it. Upbringing, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think graduating from college. I think went a couple of years to not graduate. She could not have been more bleeding heart liberal. Her sisters could not have been more bleeding heart Republican. So they had the same exact upbringing. But I mean, and her thing was, felt sorry for everybody, felt sorry for everything, no personal responsibility, always was somebody else's fault. And I mean, just the same mantras, the same platform that you see, so much of liberalism based on, today. And when I first found this out, I'm like, who the hell raised you? Like, I met your whole family. They're staunch, dyed-in-the-wool Republicans. How'd you get to be like this? And that's where I came up with the ideology that it's got to be something that's got to be inbred, inborn in that. Because she was just, tie yourself to a tank, protest in Tiananmen Square, liberal.
A new Danish study shows that a year after aborting, women exhibit a 50% higher likelihood of first-time psychiatric treatment and an 87% higher likelihood of personality and behavior disorders. Getting an abortion takes a toll on a woman's emotions and mentality, and it causes problems. PREBORN's network of clinics is positioned in the highest abortion areas, and they're fighting for mothers who are deciding between life and death and potentially exposing themselves to some sort of mental health crisis in the aftermath of killing their baby. By introducing a mother to her child on a free ultrasound, the chances of that mother keeping the baby and choosing life more than doubles. That's when preborn steps in, steps up, shows the mother and the baby God's love by providing additional assistance for up to 2 years. There are babies in mothers' wombs who need our help right now. As the year comes to a close, your tax-deductible donation can be the difference between life and death. Would you consider a leadership gift to save babies in a big way? Your gift of $5, $10, or $15,000 will be used to save countless babies. And now, through a match, your gift is doubled. To donate, dial pound 250, say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, keyword baby, or go to preborn.com/fearless. That's preborn.com/fearless. Sponsored by Preborn and Dan Steiner. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Preborn. And so maybe she did, and I'm speculating here. I'm saying this, the audience, everybody, I could be just dead wrong and be off in loony land, but maybe something happened to her as a child that made her feel victimized. And once you feel victimized and you're removed from a biblical worldview or relationship, that you'll lean into a victim mentality, and that will make you live.
Okay, so explain to me. Let's debate the border. You will sit there and go toe-to-toe with a liberal all day long. And not some of your swing voters, that 20% in the middle. I mean, the Rachel Maddows.
Yep.
You will debate Rachel Maddow, AOC, as to why a closed border is a good idea. They will debate you just as vehemently as why an open border is a good idea. And we can sit here and go round and round and round for an hour. You're not changing my worldview, not changing your worldview. That right there, and from a common sense, from a safety perspective, well, from 130 countries, people have poured into the United States, from 20 plus terror sponsoring countries, poured in the United States, not vetted on who they are, where they are, nothing about them. That's a good idea. You have the argument with Rachel Maddow. She still won't get it. Like, how do you not? That is literally as bottom barrel common sense as it gets. But a liberal won't see the logic. That right there tells me it's not something you've learned. That is ingrained in your psyche, in your DNA.
How about this, John? How about it's the identity that you adopt? And so if your identity is, hey, I'm a liberal, that locks you into, well, I got to take this position, this position, this position.
But they really believe it. And you're not going to change your mind.
I'm not. I do think they believe it, but I think it's a byproduct of this is my identity. And that's why, again, do you have any religious faith?
I did.
Okay. And so that may be why we're talking past each other, but or you can't. But when you take on an identity of, hey, I'm a Christian, now I have a blueprint. Well, here's what I think as a Christian. Bible makes it crystal clear. These values are taught in my church. And so I adopt all these Christian worldview.
My mother was a Bible teacher for 30 years in high school. So.
Yeah, okay. And so when people take
very well ingrained.
So when someone takes on the identity, hey, I'm a victim, there's a set of beliefs they have to follow. That's where you're right. It's like a religion to them.
Yeah.
And so they just accept things on faith. And so as a liberal, open borders are good. What do you mean? All the liberals, this is what we all think. And you can sit there and say, well, hold on. Open borders would take the front door off your house and just let anybody come in and out.
It's common sense. And when you can't understand common sense,
you're part of a religion. You're accepting things on faith.
But when you can't accept something common sense and change your belief accordingly, then your model of the world is so ingrained that in my this is the only place we differ here, Jason. I think it's so ingrained, just like a man that is born gay. I had a dear friend when I was growing up who has since passed away. Kind of sad about that. Who at 12 years old, I didn't really know what gay was at 12 years old, but we played Little League. He was a pretty good little baseball player, and him and his dad and my dad worked together, and so I used to go to his house and take a little dirt bike out on a BB gun, and go over to his house. And before we went out dirt bike riding and BB gun hunting and whatnot, he's like, John, I got to show you something. And he comes to the backyard here. And he pulls this boom box out. Remember that song from CNC Music Factory? Remember that song back in the day? Can't call the name of it. It was one of those like songs you hear like, that's that one, thank you, like at basketball game halftimes. Anyway, this 12-year-old kid had like a 3-minute long choreographed dance to this song. 12 years old. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking at here, but something ain't right about this, man. And then he goes on to high school and had a bunch of girlfriends, but no girlfriend. Had the tight rolled jeans, had the frosted tips in his hair. And like, yeah, he's a gay guy. And my mom calls me up and I'm like, I'm in the big leagues already, 23, 24. He's like, child, you never believe this. Skeet Powell came out of the closet, he's gay. Like, yeah, no shit, Ma. I've known that for like 20 years. Yeah, since we were 12 years old, and he did a choreographed dance, a CNC Music Factory song, when all I wanted to do was go ride dirt bikes. Skeet was born gay. He was. Okay, we still kept being friends and whatnot. It was in his DNA, in his chemical makeup biologically. I feel the same way about the staunch, hardcore liberals. No matter what you say to them, you show Skeet Powell a picture of Pamela Anderson buck naked back in the day, you're like, how about George Clooney here? Yeah, I like that. Okay, you're not going to change his opinion there.
Tulsi Gabbard,
he's born that way.
Tulsi Gabbard would be considered a liberal at one point. She was a Democrat and a liberal. Now she's not.
She's a brainwashed liberal. She was one that maybe got her indoctrination in college.
Donald Trump was a liberal. Elon Musk was a liberal. Someone might, I don't think of it.
AOC, Rachel Maddow. I mean, I think there are levels of it.
There's power to be gained from being a liberal. There's freedom. It's like people are attracted to the freedom of being a liberal. There are no rules. You can do whatever. Do what thou wilt. Grab as much power as you can. That's why they're liberals, is because there's a set of rules that go along with being a conservative. There are no rules that go along with being a liberal. They just offer you ultimate freedom. There is no sin. There is no right and wrong. Whatever you desire. Hey, if you got to bat and balls and say, hey, I'm a woman, liberals have to, yep, you're a woman. I know you got to bat and balls. I know you got XX chromosomes, but you say you're a woman, I have to go along with it. People are attracted to that freedom and the delusion of being a liberal. I don't believe they were born that way. The entire culture that we've been set in America and throughout the world, it promotes the freedom of liberalism. And again, that's how we have gotten to the point where we're about this close to legalizing or not legalizing and or allowing and or being somewhat okay with minor attracted people, pedophilia. We're this close. Yeah, adult, you want to have sex with a kid? That's the freedom of liberalism. Anything goes. And so, yes, some people are attracted to it and they will defend it because it's attached to all the other things. Take a woman that's had an abortion and she doesn't want to deal with the fact that she participated in the murder of a baby. Well, you can adopt liberalism and it says, that's okay. You were doing what's best in the interest of your career. You didn't need to have any sexual discipline. You didn't need to ask that man to put a condom on. You didn't need to save that for your husband. No, you're a liberal, have a kid, have an abortion. It's not sinful. It's not bad behavior. You're okay. You're just like the rest of us.
You think all liberals are involved in what's called reframing your situation?
Pretty much, yes.
NLPs too, like
you get to remain in denial. You get to commit any sin you want and justify it. And so it's a great offer. But smart people are like, that ain't good. That's not good for society. Kids are in jeopardy. Everything that you were complaining about, and I mean, some of it's unstated, but it's all inferred. What you don't like, hey man, we got a culture over here that I want you to respect. This country was founded on Christian principles. This U.S. Constitution was based on biblical values that I can point to you, and all the founding fathers. We have a country that's based on the patriarchy, male leadership.
And if you got a problem with that, then don't come here.
Yes.
Then
and
don't.
so But liberalism gets to say, screw all that. Do what you want. You want to come to America, and the reason you want to come to America is because men following the Bible established that country and made it so great that your heathen ass wants to come over here, and you know what? I don't want to respect what they do in America. I want to set up my culture.
Well, you want to
here
leech
in America.
off all the goodies that America's created
Yes.
below these 250 years
Yes.
and give nothing back.
Yes.
And I got a problem with that.
Yes.
And it came out in that SI article. If it had been expounded on like it was in our 9-hour conversation, we'd be having a different conversation. I wouldn't be defending myself. It would be, yeah, I get it, and so that's why a quarter century later we're talking about this nonsense.
The fact that your mother was a Sunday school teacher and a Bible.
No, in high school. She
in high school,
yeah,
okay.
For 30 years.
Wow, 30 years. And the fact that I would imagine you used to have some religious beliefs and values that you've sent the conversation another direction because, now I'm concerned about your salvation and I want to help you get back. The things you're talking about, they're all Bible-based, John. The culture that you're trying to protect was established by his word. You don't abandon that out of cynicism or out of frustration or out of...
I still believe there's a creator. I still believe there's a God. I just think religion is a bit silly. Like the hats you got to wear, and you can't eat this kind of food on a Wednesday after 2 o'clock, and you got to say these words.
Don't want any rules.
You
don't want any rules.
They're rules that were created 3,000 years ago by people that were herding goats. I just think religion itself is silly.
That's the mistake you're making, bro.
There is a God, there is a creator. I do believe in all that.
A nuclear blast devastates Los Angeles, throwing the nation into chaos in Angel Studios' upcoming film, Homestead, coming to theaters December 20th. Amid chaos, an ex-Green Beret joins prepper compounds, love grows, truth rises, and a community unites. Packed with heart-pounding tension, moral dilemmas, and a story that cuts to the core of what it means to survive, Homestead explores the humanity behind the apocalypse. Pre-order your tickets for a chance to win a $300,000 giveaway, which includes 1 Bitcoin, a fully furnished tiny home from Box House, a custom Polaris OHV by Sparks Motors, and everything else you'd need to start your own homestead. Pre-order tickets for your chance to win at angel.com/Jason. That's angel.com/Jason. See you in theaters during the Christmas season. John, I understand where you're coming from, but everything that you're trying to protect is you're trying to protect America's Christian culture. And I get that you some of the things in the Bible sound far-fetched to you, but they're not far-fetched. There's nothing new. Don't fall into the trap of thinking we're somehow smarter than those people, the people from the past. The people from the past, they're not more evolved.
Here's one thing. And one of my dear friends, still a dear friend of mine, Dr. Ernest Easley, he was you can look him up, he was the executive director of the Southern Baptist Convention. He was also a pastor at Robert Street Baptist Church in Atlanta. Me and Doc are big hunting buddies, 10, 15 years. And we would talk theology a lot. And again, he's a doctorate in theology from Baylor University. You put Doc in a room with a Muslim cleric, a Catholic cardinal, and someone high up in the Mormon church. You'd be like, who's right? Debate it out. They all different philosophies, ideology. Dude, they would both argue their eyes pop out of their head. And you would leave after 2 hours, nobody's right and nobody's wrong. The Muslim wouldn't convince Dr. Easley.
Why are you worried about
Easley
them?
wouldn't convince the Muslim. I'm like,
Why are you worried about them?
If nobody's right, then everybody's wrong.
Why are you worried about them?
I'm just telling you.
Why are you referencing them? Jesus Christ wants a personal relationship with John Rocker. We don't need all the other opinions.
I didn't say anything about that. I said I think religion is stupid. I think religion itself, the institution of religion is ridiculous. I've got to wear holy underwear. I've got to wear a funny little hat. I can't eat shellfish. I have to
You're
recite
evaluating
this chant.
You're evaluating things that don't concern you. You don't want to wear them.
No,
funny
but
underwear, don't wear 'em.
if you want to be religious, society tells you have to fall into one of these. You have to be a Muslim. You have to be a Mormon. You have to be a Catholic. You have to be a.
I don't have to do anything society says. I'm not a Muslim.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. I think religion is ridiculous. So you ask me, am I religious? No, because I haven't picked a religion. My mother's Southern Baptist. I think Southern Baptist is a little. But I do have a relationship with God. I do believe I didn't come from the Big Bang Theory. That didn't happen. There is a God out there. But you say, okay, American, it was founded on Christian values, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe the vigilantism that I see myself, wanting to keep this country great, wanting to keep certain morals and ethics established in this country. I don't really see that as coming from a religious-minded aspect. I see that coming from a common sense, right and wrong, show me some respect. You came to my country, you need to learn the language. You need to go to the Veterans Day parade.
Okay, and so this is the argument I have with people
It's
all
a lot
the
about
time.
respect.
I got it, but the things that you want cannot be achieved without a relationship and understanding of God,
Exactly.
His purpose.
But religion is just pigeonholing people to a certain set of rules and dress codes and dietary restraints.
No, what I see,
silly.
what I see is there's some moral convictions that we must have and embrace.
Yeah.
Them things in the 10 Commandments. We have to have. We can't continue. This country will never get right as long as we keep offering up children as sacrifice in these abortion clinics. There's a curse that comes along with that. The whole drag queen story hour and the gays and lesbians grooming kids in school, and we're allowing that. This country's never going to get right until we put a stop to the demonic things we're doing to children.
And that right there just is an internal rot of the fabric of American society that people with morals, with ethics, you should look at that and just be like, kind of like me with Skeet Powell back in the day. I don't know what's going on here, but something ain't right about it. When you see a transvestite having story time with 6-year-old kids, trying to brainwash, turn them into Hitler Youth, indoctrinate them that, this is okay. A normal person with any sense of morals and ethics should look at that and be like, I don't know, what's wrong with it? But hey, something ain't right about this. We need to go ahead and knock this off. And that's the fact, that's what we're losing. That's where the cancel culture comes in. Because I'm the one that wants to stand up and say, ain't something right about this. 6-year-olds should not be subjective, thank you, spit it out, kid. To an adult can process what's going on, a kid can't. Talking about just a whole lifetime of confusion when you see that and try to apply that as a 6-year-old. That's where.
Where do you think all morality comes from? All of morality. It comes from God. It comes from the Bible. That we would have no morality without the Bible. All the things you're talking, they're spiritual in nature.
I think some of it is just. I mean, I don't need the Bible to tell me to not murder you.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
No.
Yes, you do. Without the Bible, we'd have no concept. And there are people that are so disconnected to the Bible. That's why they're so comfortable dropping their girlfriend off or escorting their girlfriend or their wife, mother, whoever, at an abortion clinic. Because they don't know that they're committing murder. And they don't know is because they're not in that book. They're not obeying His word. And so, trust me, the people that established this country, they were experts on the Bible. Because just think about it. We think we're smarter than them. We're actually much dumber than them. Because when they were around, Ben Franklin, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, they didn't have Netflix. They didn't have Amazon Prime. They didn't have iPhones, iPods they could plug in.
Or proper hygiene
ears.
for that matter.
That's all fine. But they didn't have all these other entertainment options. They had the Bible. If you wanted to entertain yourself, you read the Bible. If you wanted to be able to communicate to a mass audience, you had to know the Bible because that was the reference point for everything. And so when they came up with the concept of how to establish the greatest country in the history of the planet, they took it all from the Bible. And those of us that want the country to return to what it used to be, we're going to have to get in their mindset. Anybody that's not talking about getting in that mindset is just running their mouth. They're not really about this life. They're just, hey, I want things to go back, but I don't want to actually do the work. I don't actually want to make the sacrifice. These people made incredible sacrifices. These ancestors of ours, wasn't white ancestors, black ancestors. It was these American ancestors made incredible sacrifice. They sacrificed their lives, did all kinds of things to make this country great. And we don't want to make those sacrifices, but we do want to sit up and complain in Sports Illustrated and other places about, look how crazy things have gotten. We have to get skin in the game and get just as committed as them. And now we're standing on rock solid, firm ground like, hey man, you're not coming over here in this country and bringing that foolishness over here. Don't leave them Marxist ideas, them communist ideas. Leave that shit someplace. I apologize for cursing, but you done took me there.
That was my fault now. Okay, that's fine.
Not in a negative way, but I'm just passionate, man, because
I hear you.
I am.
Did you expect to sit down with me and end up having a theological discussion? Was this where you thought this interview was going to go?
Actually, yes.
No, you did not.
No, John, you're from the South. I'm not that smart. I just have a biblical worldview. The things you're complaining about.
You can talk about mother. She would, yeah. She'd make you go there and take a nap.
The things you're complaining about, I know where they're coming from. Most people think, oh, the guy's just xenophobic or racist or blah, blah, blah. Nah, the guy just wants structure and a society that reflects his values and things that make him comfortable. And I'm trying to open your eyes to the fact that now, you can point a finger at them, but you need to look in the mirror and say, am I playing a role in how this country's gotten here to this point where we have this much chaos and criminality and immorality and the manipulation, destruction, the sexualization of kids? What role are we playing in it because we don't want to make the sacrifices necessary to restore that structure and order that you're longing for?
You're probably right. You're probably right. Jason Whitlock.
Now, a man that can admit when he's heard something that may open his mind, that's a smart man. You hear new information, you hear a new perspective, you should adjust. You're a smart man. I appreciate you saying that. And not because I'm right, because trust me, I'm an idiot. Trust me, I am an idiot. I got story after story. I graduated high school. I graduated college with like a 2.3. This is all just me figuring out and just looking at the world like, how did we get here? This is crazy. We got people wanting to put drag shows on and kid-friendly drag shows. How the hell did we get here?
Yeah.
You reject God, this is what you get. And then the next thing you know, there's a spiritual dynamic that you think kids are born this way. But when you
can see tendencies forming at like 10 years old.
I agree. But
the boy that's playing with dolls at like 9.
That's a spiritual curse. There's something wrong with the American spirit. There's something wrong with us.
But you see a lot of them too. I mean, like little Skeet Powell, little thin bone. He was literally physically built more like a woman. He didn't have the breast and everything else, but he was small built, little shoulders about this wide. He was built more like a woman. He wasn't built like me, big old wide shoulders.
I got it. Do you know what they've been doing to testosterone levels across the globe and in America for decades? What they're putting in our food, what the vaccines.
Yeah, but you still got big old jock over here. Then you still got little flinty.
I got it. Now, let me offend you. Let me offend you. The argument you just made is a Black Lives Matter type argument. Well, the police are just out randomly killing black men everywhere. And you'll go, what? That's crazy. And they'll say, well, look what happened to George Floyd. Look what happened to this. And I go, those are one-offs. Those are examples. I'm talking about the overall trend line. And I get that John Rocker is 6'4", 240 pounds, and there's a lot of big masculine men. But if you look at the trend line of what's been going on with our food, what's been going on with vaccines, listen to what RFK is talking about, there's a trend line of more and more feminized boys. And part of this is spiritual, part of this is just the poisoning that they're doing to us in the womb with kids and early on in life with vaccines.
From your background, Mr. Whitlock, I'll argue your point by saying, remember what a big deal it was when William Refrigerator Perry cracked into college football? Oh, he's 300 pounds. He's 300 pounds. Look at Georgia's O-line, Georgia's D-line. You ain't got a cat on there under 330. So, I think humans are getting bigger with all the stuff they put in our food. You get some big old donkeys out there, man.
Some are.
There was an anomaly when William the Refrigerator Perry, oh my God, he's 300 pounds.
Got it. Some are.
Yeah, you're a tiny guy now.
But I'm just go look at testosterone and what they've done to that. It's never been lower than
I got to take it every week now.
It used to not be that way.
I used to take it to play better. I take it just to get a boner.
This is by design. We're not doing the things that we used to do. There was a ruggedness to being a man that we passed on in our genes, and the culture helped pass it on. And we weren't.
I think with woke kind of being on a slippery slope right now, I think you're starting to see a little bit men kind of wanting to be men again. I know women like men. We don't like the guy wearing skinny jeans with, looks like he's in Oasis. I think most women will tell you, I like a dude with a broad back and some hair on his chest.
If you like this show, you're going to love the merchandise we have for the show. Go to fearlessmissionmerch.com today, and you can check out everything from our Fearless Army t-shirts, hats, and dog tags to our God, Country, and Truth Bomb shirts, and a whole lot more. And of course, there's all the other Blaze Media merchandise right there for you at your fingertips. Everything from Blaze Heritage and Blaze Media collections, jackets, t-shirts, hoodies, socks, mugs. There's so much there, you're going to love it. Go to fearlessmissionmerch.com today. Check out my merchandise as well as everything else available from The Blaze. Use this promo code, Jason10, to get 10% off your entire order. That's fearlessmissionmerch.com, promo code Jason10 for 10% off. Do it today. So you just said that, hey, look, the culture seems to be swinging back the other direction.
Cultures tend to do.
As you go back 25 years ago in 1999 and you look at where we are in 2024, are you amazed? Did you like, hey, this is where it's inevitable we had to get here because I was telling you 25 years ago the direction we were headed, and now finally you've caught up with me and you want to push back?
It got so much worse. You remember 20, 21, 22. They're trying to cancel Chick-fil-A. There's just any and everything trying to cancel. And like most societies, it's a pendulum. It swings back and forth. Always trying to find that happy medium. And I think the pendulum has gone so far, to that left that most of sane society aren't in that 20% of just rabid liberals, your Rachel Maddow types, your Whoopi Goldberg types, that 80% of society is now pushing back and trying to get that pendulum to swing back to the middle. Doesn't mean you should be going out there, using the word queer with AIDS. Have a little respect for folks. But the closed borders, the assimilate, those kind of ideals, I think are, finally you can say those things without, oh shit, I got to clean my desk out, I just got fired.
So you regret some of the things you said back then?
I was a little off. You can't just blatantly disrespect, disrespect people just for the hell of it,
And what made you, because it's been here in recent months, it's like you reemerged on social media, or maybe you just maybe not reemerged, you emerged on social media. I don't, were you on it before? What made you come out now and get so active on social media?
Just bored out of my tit, Jason. Just bored. I'm retired. You only play golf and go fishing so much, you know. Just kind of something to do. I'm enjoying it. It's fun. I get to do stuff like this now.
And so, but
I was telling my, I do some development. I develop real estate, and you know, I build apartment complexes and stuff like that too. But that's a few hours a week. It's not a full-time thing to do. And I was actually talking to my girlfriend a few months ago, and this is probably kind of what, you know, how can I do this because of you know, the cancellation that went on for me 25 years ago. I get real annoyed and somewhat jealous when I watch the MLB Network and I see Mark DeRosa on there. Me and Mark played together. I know Mark very well. And I see Sean Casey. I was watching it last night with the winter meeting. I see Sean Casey on there. I played against Sean all the way up through the minors. And as you can see, Jason, I'm very good on radio and somewhat, you know, good on TV. I've been doing this stuff a long time. But based on what happened to me 25 years ago, there's no way in hell that MLB will give me a job on their network. Just not going to happen. There's no way that I can go to the Atlanta Braves, like, or TBS or Fox or Fox Sports South or whatever. And can I be one of your commentators, your own field, your play-by-play? You're not serious, are you? No way in hell. We'll get protested. We'll get you know, sponsors will leave. And oh my God, you hire this bigot to commentate, be the color guy on one of your networks. So it can't happen. And I was telling my girlfriend a few months ago, you know, I'm just bored, man. Just what else is there to do? You know, when it's not hunting season, what do you do? It's like, you know, you do your development and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, that's 10 hours a week. It's a couple of meetings, a few phone calls. I got a phone call at 3 o'clock today with an investor. That's going to be 20 minutes. What do you do if I'm not doing your show today? What do you do the rest of the day? Go work out? Go hit some balls? Again, it's something where you feel like you're productive, something that gets you up every morning, like, great, I get to do this today, and something moving forward positively. And my girlfriend was like, well, what do you want to do? I'm like, you know, the only thing I'm really good at is being John Rocker. That's it. It's just being a personality, being, you know, coming on shows like this and debating ideas and you know, making people laugh. I mean, I'm pretty good with spinning a sentence, and I'm on Cameo now, and people will hit me up on Cameo probably every day. Can you roast my friend so-and-so? And I will. I'll go on, not ever met someone, and just undress them. And I'll end up clicking the video off and just laughing at my own jokes. I'm like, this is fun stuff. So yeah, the reemergence. I was on Twitter back in the day. And I got asked to be on CBS, invited me to be on Survivor when I did Survivor. And I mean, CBS, they're no joke when they are vetting you to be on their show. And even though they invited me, it was between myself and Bill Romanowski to be on the show. And
so they were looking for a right-wing, polarizing athlete.
Yeah, just to stir the pot.
It came down between you and Bill Romanowski. Yeah. So, go ahead.
And so one of my favorite things to do back in the day, again, sticking with this boredom trend, was I would like to finish my day off, having a cocktail or two, smoking a cigar, and I would go on Twitter, and anybody that was like talking trash to me on Twitter, I'd have a couple cocktails, and would just start just wearing them out on Twitter. And again, I would end up laughing at my own jokes, and I would be in, you know, my stomach hurts by the end of the night because I'm laughing at things I'm saying to people on Twitter. I mean, just, again, undressing them, embarrassing them, et cetera. And that was just folly for me at the end of a day. And some of it was not the cleanest. And as I get invited by CBS to go on Survivor, I'm like, you know what? They're going to vet all this stuff. They don't need to be seeing my Twitter account. So I just went in and deleted it. Like if they saw some of the stuff I said to folks on Twitter, they'd probably uninvite me from being on their little show. I was like, yeah, I'm probably just going to go ahead and delete that. And then just never went back on. You know, I'm on Facebook just to say happy birthday to friends, stuff like that. But no real seriousness to it.
So you're suggesting no network will touch you.
Well, absolutely not.
But now you don't need a network. You need a podcast in your own platform.
Now we're on the same page. But actually, I did do CBS Radio after Survivor, which is extremely odd. CBS Radio in Atlanta, 92.9 The Game. I did 3 years with them just during baseball season, afternoon drive time. It wasn't much. It was just 2 segments, 3 days a week. But the production manager named Terry Fox. Terry Fox, production manager, black guy. The station president was a black guy. And they called me up, and Terry, first of all, Terry looks just like Tony Gwynn. No dialect, no nothing. You think he's a white guy when you first talk to him. He sounds kind of like a nerdy white guy. So I went and met him, and I'm like, why do you want me to be on your show? Like, this is a little strange. I went and met the station president. I'm like, all right, maybe you're thinking outside the box, man. And yeah, they ended up hiring me for about 3 years. But it was on the Dukes and Bell show, Carl Dukes and Mike Bell, and they literally said, during our broadcast that they were getting tweets, and some of them were, why do you have this POS racist on your show? Some of them were, love John Rocker, think he's funny, but they said that they would get several interactions during my segments of, why is this bigot on your show? Who the hell hired this guy? So, and when you're just talking about two segments a week, just during baseball season, you think Fox Sports South's going to hire me to commentate Braves games? Hell no, they're not.
So
will be network? No, not going to happen.
Would it be fair to call you a good old boy?
What's your definition of good old boy?
You tell me. What's your definition of it? I'm asking what it be.
My definition of good old boy is a half-toothless redneck that kisses his sister with a dip in his mouth.
That would be more of a cracker or a hillbilly or something like that.
By the way, Antonio Brown, something I'm very proud of. He's got a pretty good-sized podcast. He named me Cracker of the Week like 2 weeks ago.
Well,
yeah. I have my guys make up shirts that say Cracker of the Week on it.
I've been the Negro of the day, I can say.
Cracker of the Week. That's fantastic. No, I don't like the term good old boy.
I'll be honest with you. I do.
Country.
Country.
Right. I wouldn't say country. I mean, I'm wearing $1,000 boots here. I mean, country guys wear $1,000 boots. They don't have.
You haven't been to Nashville.
Well, that's true. Look where I am. But these
$1,000
these
boots.
aren't cowboy boots. These are Armani boots. I mean,
don't blow all your masculine branding by mentioning the $1,000 boots. But I say that because good old boy doesn't bother me. It doesn't.
And your definition may be different than mine, or the thoughts it evokes, or the images it evokes.
But I was asking that question to have you address, like, we'll go to the Sports Illustrated article. I want to get to the quote that they said something about you and a teammate and calling a teammate a fat monkey, and there's Rocker bemoans the fact that he is not more intelligent, and though his father says John graduated with a 3.5 GPA from Presbyterian Day High in Macon, Georgia in 1993, sometimes it's hard to argue. In passing, he calls an overweight black teammate a fat monkey. Asked if he feels any bond with New York Knicks guard Latrell Sprewell, notorious for choking coach P.J. Carlesimo 2 years ago, Rocker lets out a snarl of disgust. That guy should have been arrested, and instead he's playing basketball. Why do you think that is? Do you think if he was Keith Van Horn, if he was white, they'd let him back? No way. Rocker is rarely tongue-tied when it comes to bashing those of a race or sexual orientation different from his. Quote, I'm not a racist or a prejudiced person, but certain people bother me. That quote doesn't get as much attention as the other quotes, but I think that's the quote that got you canceled more than anything else. People don't talk about it, but it's that you're not allowed to be publicly critical of Latrell Sprewell or any black athlete, partially because you're from the South, partially because you're a white guy, and partially because those are just the rules of the media. White guy can't criticize a black guy, can't make that type of point publicly, and a white guy certainly can't, because it's my understanding, but you tell me, I think this teammate of yours that was fat was a friend of yours, and it was, oh no. All right, well, explain to me.
And that the adjective there, or the noun, I guess. It's pretty bad how you look at it. I think he thought we were friends. I'd played with this guy all the way up through the minors. annoyed the holy hell out of me. It actually annoyed the holy hell out of the whole clubhouse. Loud, obnoxious, rude, flamboyant. Had a real bad case. I can't shut the blank up. I can remember, this is him being in the big leagues too. And when you're in the big leagues with Atlanta back in the day, especially as a rookie, you kept your head down, you did your job, you took your shower, you put your clothes on, you went home, you came back the next day. And you did not ruffle feathers, you did not, nobody noticed you unless you made an error. Playing for Bobby Cox, it was very businesslike in there. The team always takes on the character of the veterans. You know, Schmaltzy, God Squad guy. Schmaltzy, not a drinker, not a carouser, not a swearer, very straight-laced. So was Glav. Chip, he was, you can say about Chip, but he was still very subdued, somewhat quiet. That's how the clubhouse should be. I heard this cat, he'd be in the clubhouse beating on his and, you know, the hollow bench that is, you know, part of your locker there. He's beating on that thing like it's a tribal drum. You can hear it out in the tunnel. Like, who the hell is doing that? He'd been in the big leagues for like 2 weeks. Like, what are you doing, dude? I've been in the big leagues for like 2 months. He was from Curacao. Him and Andrew Jones flew home for the All-Star break. Missed his flight on the way back from the All-Star break. Missed the game, just didn't show up. Got to be in the big leagues for like 2 months. You can't be in the big leagues for 2 months with the Atlanta Braves. You're a Hall of Fame manager, Bobby Cox. You missed a game because you missed your flight. How stupid are you? What's the matter with you? And was just kind of just a bit of an all-around idiot. A story you'll be familiar with. Remember when the Pittsburgh Pirate player hit the mascot for the Milwaukee Brewers in the head with a bat?
Do not remember, but
really?
I believe you. Yeah.
No, you don't remember that
Football and basketball guy more than a baseball guy.
I'm sure some of these guys around here remember that.
These are kids, but go ahead.
So in Milwaukee, the great sausage race in Milwaukee,
Yep.
the little seventh inning little thing for the fans there. So you got the bratwurst and the hot dog. Well, there are people in there, obviously. And one of them runs by the dugout. This individual is on the top step of the dugout with a bat in his hand. Thing walks by, crack. It was a little 20-year-old girl, smoked her right in the forehead. Gotcha. They were like pressing with assault charges and whatnot. Like, you're just an idiot. So yeah, should I've used the word monkey? Hell no, but fat idiot. You're just a clown, man. You're just a clown.
Hold on, you're saying this guy did that?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And I was also a little pissed too because he cost us a game one day when two outs and a one-run game against Colorado. I strike out the third out, ball in the dirt, instead of covering first like a big league player should do because you've been playing a long time. He starts running toward the mound for the high five, realizes too late he's supposed to cover first. Our catcher tries to hit him on the run so he could catch it, step on first, third out, game over, throws it down the right field line instead. Runner on second, 2 outs, tying run. Todd Helton comes up, base hit, game. Actually, I think it was a tie game. Base hit. There might have been a runner on, but anyway, base hit, scored 2, and we ended up losing in the bottom of the ninth because you can't cover first on a third strike in the dirt. Cost us 2 runs, and that was when we were that was in September, pennant race with the Mets. We're only like 2 games up on the Mets. Tight race. And we end up dropping a game because you can't cover first on a third strike.
So I hear that story, and I think of you're 24, 25 years old, and my initial thought is like Arrested Development in terms of you're
TV show?
in, huh?
The TV show?
No, the term Arrested Development. And I'm thinking of like, well, here's a 24, 25-year-old that's in Major League Baseball with all this spotlight on him, but he handles things that frustrate him like a 15 or 16-year-old. And so a 15 or 16-year-old gets into a beef with a guy he doesn't like in the locker room, and 15, they call him a name. And that's what kids do. They get because they they haven't developed enough, they're not mature enough to say, I can express my frustration and disagreement with this person without calling them a name. And so when I look at the Sports Illustrated article in retrospect, I'm listening. Well, he's frustrated with New Yorkers. He's frustrated with Mets fans and Yankees fans. And he can't figure out at 24, 25, I can express these frustrations, but I can't do it with name calling and things that will distract from the actual argument that I'm making. And 24, 25.
Yeah, that was inappropriate, but the argument of New York as a whole, that was a 20-minute conversation.
Gotcha.
You got narrowed down
Gotcha.
to a sentence extract here, to a sentence extract there. It seems very rudimentary, very dumb, very, very base. But again, like I said 45 minutes ago, if you had put, which is hard to do, but if that interview had been done on TV or radio, it would have come across, been viewed through entirely different glasses than just cut and spliced in print. What I told you, I swore print off a long time ago.
But, and I agree with you, if the part about the fat monkeys on TV,
that's just inappropriate.
You're probably
no
in even more trouble because it's on tape. You say, and people get to see. It's no different than Fuzzy Zeller and Tiger Woods. If he was on camera saying, "Hey, is he going to serve chicken?" and again, it's an relatively innocent joke. But when you see the animus that Fuzzy Zeller delivered it with as it relates to Tiger Woods, that's what put it over the top. But I just, and I'm asking you to be reflective, because one, you've already admitted that it was wrong, it's over the top, but your upbringing in Macon, Georgia, and just small town Southern guy, you weren't prepared for the spotlight that you got for being the closer of the Atlanta Braves, picking a fight with New York, someone from a different background, maybe a different city, someone older, be like, man, I ain't got time to pick no fight with New York right now. I'm in the middle of getting my career off the ground, blah, blah, blah. And I'm certain Jeff Pearlman shows up. Yeah, I know him a little bit, but I ain't gonna have that conversation with him. I don't know him like that.
Yeah, and again, didn't know what are the two rules to live by when dealing with family and friends. Don't discuss religion and politics. Let's just keep it light. But again, love talking politics. So
let me get to my overall point in terms of when you say there's people that I don't like, or I can't remember the end of that quote, there are people that bother me or something like that. Most people are like, is he saying that black people bother him? Is that what you were saying?
No, of course not. People with a certain mindset, people with certain attitudes, views, behavior types, those will bother me. Yeah, absolutely. As they bother
me,
pretty much everybody.
Yeah, no, they bother me.
There's certain people you just don't like. Why don't you like him? He acts like this. He does this. His lifestyle is this. Okay, those are pretty good reasons.
What are you hoping to do in 2025? We're almost at the end of 24. What if we reconvene next year? What is John Rocker hoping?
I'd like to have a podcast here the next 12 months maybe.
Talking about
this, that, and the other thing. I've been approached 3 times about doing them. It's been the same spiel every time. It's been, you work for free until we build an audience and then get some sponsors, and then maybe you can get paid. My time's worth something. And I don't need any help becoming famous, and this is not my, my MO or my end-all be-all to have a podcast. But I do love this forum here. I've been the interviewee plenty of times. Wouldn't mind sitting on the other side. I would like a co-host as well. I'm not sure I can carry a show by myself, at least until I kind of get my feet wet and know what I'm doing. But I do love this interaction, this format here. I love this whole process. But certainly not working for free. And ask the people who approach me, is like, is your producer going to work for free? Is the editor going to work for free? No, it was just me working for free. I don't think so. I'm not doing that shit. But yeah, I think and again, not good at much being John Rocker. So, social media and with the attention it's brought in such a short period of time and doing your show and other shows and things like that, would like to be able to step in with a social media following, kind of like Antonio did. I've taught Antonio a couple times about his show, and that's where he parlayed into it. Was his social media following is quite large, and it's just a matter of simply putting out a notification. Hey, start a podcast. Here's the link.
Is there a media personality that you like, or ex-jock that's in the media that you like? You're like, hey, I can do that, or that's what I would do?
And that's something as it starts becoming more reality, I would have to, who do you want to emulate? I'm not sure I want to emulate anybody. I think I've got a pretty decent shtick on my own.
I got an analogy for you.
Okay, let me hear it.
You didn't have this level of career, but in terms of just being polarizing and kind of unafraid, it's Charles Barkley.
I love Charles. I've known Charles a lot over the years. Charles, piece of work, man. Yeah, like Charles a lot.
Good old boy from the South, Barkley is.
He was an Auburn guy. I'll tolerate it.
Yeah, but and just willing to say a lot of politically incorrect things, particularly early in his career.
Yeah, Charles. Have you ever met Charles?
Of course.
The first time I ever met him, I ran into him at a club in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I'm taller than Charles is. I probably got Charles by about half an inch. I thought I'd maybe be like 6'10". I'm like, you're the round mound and rebound. I'm taller than you, dude. I know you got a big old ass and whatnot, but I thought he'd be a lot bigger. And then, of course, he started doing the show at TNT in Atlanta. So I'd see Charles before I moved. Yeah, 2-3 times a year we'd go out and have drinks, stuff like that. Good cat though. Yeah, I can sort of see that.
I don't know if baseball is maybe too buttoned up for a Charles Barkley type, but baseball is struggling for attention. And maybe, again, we're so far on the other side of cancel culture that maybe...
I wouldn't say so far on the other side. We're heading on the other side of the mountain, but you can still see it in the rearview mirror.
Yeah,
Trump just got elected.
I agree with you.
A month ago.
Not only it's not in the rearview mirror, you can still see it. It's still your next door neighbor.
Yeah.
It's just finally shut up and went in the house for a change. But John, I appreciate you coming here to Nashville and engaging in the conversation. It was a bit spicier maybe than I thought, but I'm not surprised where any of it went. I'm going to continue to pray for you. I'm sure your mom's still alive?
Yep.
Yeah, she's praying for you, I know. And so now me and your mom will be praying for you again, because we're going to get you right with God so you can really get in this fight. See, everyone thinks they're in the fight, but they're really not. If they're not promoting...
I told you, no problem with God, problem with religion. I'm not wearing some silly hat and et cetera, et cetera.
I'm not wearing a silly hat, but anyway, John, thank you so much. Really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you, Jason. It was fun.
Guys, I hope you all enjoyed it. We'll play tomorrow, and we'll see you next time.
Waiting for the countdown, coming off the breakdown, standing in line for freedom. Looking for a breakout, feeling like a standoff, nothing in life like freedom. Came like a fighter, striking like a ladder, making all these moves for freedom. I want freedom. No negotiation, my sister, no relation. We all just wanna have freedom. Sitting on a corner, never been alone. I'm breaking my back for freedom. Blessed, we are living, get back. We are receiving, all deceiving. We all wanna be free. We want freedom.